pressure, and ordinary people just have to run for cover, Lord. Somebody thief in the soul of a nation. Somebody gone with the love that we had. Somebody thief in the soul of a nation. Somebody driving my country mad. And we, yes, you and me, we have to stop this conspiracy. I'm telling you, we, yes, you and me, we have to stop this conspiracy. Somebody thief in the soul of a nation. Work ethics keep on going down the drain. Young people today say they ain't working again. They tell you blatantly they ain't working no more. They tired work and can't see what they working for. Price in the groceries gone sky high. The goods on the shelf and poor people cannot buy. We morals and we money gone, we don't know where it went. This can never be happening by accident. Somebody thief in the soul of a nation. Somebody gone with the good out of my land. Somebody thief in the soul of a nation. We need to make some much more supplication. And we, yes, you and me, we have to stop this conspiracy. I'm telling you, we, yes, you and me, we have to stop this conspiracy. Somebody thief in the soul of a nation. Everything wrong in this land today looks alright. Defended by those who we know should know better. Raping women in the land is a disaster, yet the punishment recommended drive them to anger. What in the world are we really coming to? Where do we go from here? What are we going to do? The laws in the place is nothing but a waste. Cannot be implemented, what a judicial disgrace. Somebody thief in the soul of a nation. Somebody gone with the morals of this land. Somebody thief in the soul of a nation. Somebody causing much too much frustration. And we, yes, you and me, we have to stop this conspiracy. I'm telling you, we, yes, you and me, we have to stop this conspiracy. Somebody thief in the soul of a nation.
Somebody thief in the soul of a nation. Somebody thief in the soul of a nation. Somebody thief in the soul of a nation. Somebody thief in the soul of a nation.
Are you ready to feel the beat of soca? Are you ready to feel the beat of chutney? One stage unites the spirit of carnival. Saturday, 4th February. One people, one beat, one night. I love Joker. Come feel the beats.
Are you ready to party? Are you ready to fete like this? Raise up your cups and your glasses. If you think you could drink like me, meet me by the bar, come and take it. Shot, shot, shot. Middle of the fence, everybody just take it. Shot, 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 shot. Link up with me, everybody take it. Shot, 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 shot. Middle of the stage, just on the ladies and shot.
chutney steam. I hear what chutney steam. Front and center, you ready for the tempo? I hear what chutney steam. I hear what chutney steam. Don't stop, don't stop, don't stop, don't stop. Chop your back, call your wine so you need take charge. So I love it till you roll with the beat. Love it till you roll with the beat. Roll with the beat. Chop your back, call your wine so you need take charge. So I love it till you roll with the beat. Love it till you roll.
Spend a day with us at the Pub House. Make sure to shower before diving in the pool. Then chill out at our cabana or picnic area.
Blessed good afternoon to each and everyone. Welcome to Facts Not Fiction. Of course, today, Trinidad and Tobago, we are down in CEDROS. And of course, the ads that you saw just a while ago, it's the man himself, William Archie, doing his thing together with the councillor for the area, which very soon you will hear a word or two from the councillor. But we want to welcome you, and we want to remind you that on Fridays we will be moving the program out of the studio, and we will be going to different constituencies throughout the length and breadth of this country. So we thought that we will start in CEDROS this afternoon, seeing it's on one side of the peninsula, and we will be working our way straight up to the east and of course down to the west. And very soon, Fox, don't worry, we'll be heading into Tobago. So this program is where we give the communities the opportunity to speak, tell us of their concerns, tell us about the problems that they have been experiencing, and also tell us if the councillor doing the job that he's supposed to do. I know that's the trouble part in some areas, but nevertheless, we are here, and we want to welcome the audience that is with us here this afternoon. We want to tell you welcome to this program. Added to that, I want to also make mention of the press release by the leader of the opposition, Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa. And that release has to do, ladies and gentlemen, with Reginald Armour, the failed lying Attorney General that sits in the office in Port of Spain, and one dealing with his incompetence in relation to the case that is the malicious prosecution case that were brought against the state in relation to the Nightfall murder. And of course, we are hearing, as usual, the Attorney General telling us about file disappear and file missing, while at least for the last 2-3 years we were under COVID, court were virtually. Nevertheless, as usual, just as he cannot remember that he was an attorney for Ish Galbaran Singh and Steve Ferguson, the same way he can't remember. And of course, he have lost his appeal also in the Miami court, and therefore it's an embarrassment to this country under the Keith Rowley administration that we have so much allegations of corruption and mismanagement and misbehavior in public office. And that is what occurs when we allow a prime minister to interfere with all the independent institutions in the country. As we stand today, there is no independency within the independent institution. We have had compromise within the judiciary, compromise within the law association, compromise within the independent senator benches, compromise with the president office, compromise with the police service commission. And today again, we are going into handpick police commissioner. again by the influence of the political directorate. And this is why we would come and go into all the constituencies to help the people to understand that they have a responsibility, and their responsibility is not just to sit down and wait for an election to call while this gross mismanagement and misconduct by public officials continue in our country. We want to educate the people and let the people know that they have a voice, that the Constitution gives them the power to stand up and to call for fresh election. The Constitution gives them the power to come out in their numbers and to stand against this, what is passing for governance in the country. And we will continue to do what we have to do. We're not going to put our hands in the air. We're not going to surrender to this regime. And we will continue to speak out, and we will take the necessary lawful legal action against this government to ensure that this government crumble. Because when we allow what is happening today, ladies and gentlemen, it really may not affect the mature citizens, but bet your bottom dollar to the end of the day, your children, your grandchildren, the unborn babies, they will feel the blunt of the corruption, the mismanagement right next door in our neighboring island, Venezuela. Had a democracy just as Trinidad and Tobago. And what happened? The people fall asleep on the job, and they allow the politician to do as they want. And to the end of the day, we saw the results where hundreds of thousands of individuals running to our soil for rescue. I want to ask Trinidad and Tobago, where would you run? Where would you run? Would you run to Guyana? They don't want to see you, because, matter of fact, the government treat Guyana bad over the past 7 years. Where you will run to? We as a country which is rich in minerals, in oil, gas, asphalt, rich, but to the end of the day, we are allowing the government to do as it please, not realizing that there is a price to pay. But be that as it may, I want to introduce the councillor, Tilok Singh, to say a few words before we get into the gist of the program, because what we are doing while we are in your area, we want to give you the majority of the time. We want to hear from you. We want you, and I don't want the audience to be timid or to feel frightened in any way. If you don't want to talk on camera, you could talk off camera. There's a mic also in the back. So I want to hear from you today. I want to hear from some ladies. I want to hear from some men. I want to hear from you, the people of CEDROS. All right? So at this time, Councillor.
Okay, pleasant evening to you, Victor Roberts, and your team. Pleasant evening to our listener audience live, Trinidad and Tobago. It's a pleasure, and we welcome you to CEDROS, you and your team, as we continue to have these issues highlighted in all corner. And you know, as I have been councillor for the past 10 years in the electoral district of CEDROS, and I continue to advocate for the people of this part of the peninsula. And this evening is very interesting, because you would hear from the senior citizen, from the youths, the not so old, and the issues that we face on a daily basis. So again, on behalf of the CEDROS district, we welcome you as we continue now to struggle for betterment in the CEDROS district. A district has been forgotten from the PNM government under both local and central government. So thank you as we continue to have hear the voice of the people from the CEDROS district. So with no other further ado, I want to welcome to the mic this evening, I'm no stranger to the CEDROS Point 410 constituency, the Honorable Leo Bradshaw, past Vice President of the Senate under the NAR, Manager of Operations at the Trintok Refinery. So this evening we welcome Honorable Leo Bradshaw.
Welcome again, my brother. Let me just say that this Mr. Bradshaw is no stranger to us. We heard from him prior in Point 14, and of course we know he is well articulate and have the facts. You know, I promised to steal some information from you as we go along. So welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. It's always a pleasure and a privilege to share a podium with you. And thank you for your kind words of introduction, Mr. Tilok Singh. I am from Point Fortin. I live in Point Fortin. I was born there a few years ago. And I have a deep knowledge of the constituency of Point Fortin, and that includes CEDROS. I want to direct the gist of my remarks to CEDROS. But in doing that, I will start in Point Fortin.
Good.
Right? Point Fortin had a refinery. You all know that. The refinery was shut down about 10, 15 years ago. That refinery used to run at about 70,000 barrels a day. You know what is the crude production of Trinidad now? All the crude that we're exporting? About 60,000 barrels. So that refinery would have been able to handle all of the local crude. When we ran at those throughputs, we supplied the whole of Trinidad and part of the Caribbean with all our needs, including cooking gas, jet fuel for jets, gasoline, diesel for trucks, bitumen for the roads, etc. And we did it very efficiently and to international standards. There were no complaints with the quality. But the management decided to move everything to Point-a-Pierre, and you know where Point-a-Pierre is now. Okay, that's enough for the Point Fortin refinery. The refinery is down. When you pass here, you see a lot of iron, a lot of tanks and all of that. Take a good look at it. Very soon you may not, because those tanks and everything there are rusting away. Right? They are not protected, they are corroding internally. One day you'll see them starting to collapse. When that happens, there's no coming back. But do you know, I know for a fact, that there are two companies that have been trying to talk to Petrotrin. Forget me if I call Petrotrin and Parias Trading and all of them.
Heritage, one, everybody, same thing.
As far as I'm concerned, one khaki pants.
Same thing. Yeah.
Right? They have been trying to talk to the managers of Petrotrin for the last 2 years. What they want to do is use the tanks and the jetty, bring in crude when they can buy crude cheaply, store it in the tanks, and ship it out when they could get a better price. That happens all over the world. Right? And it takes nothing off the company. But they haven't been able to have a conversation with Petrotrin for 2 long years. Now, if you find that difficult to believe, I have a personal experience. About a year ago, a gentleman hired me to advise him on what to do to bring back the bitumen plant. He's into bitumen and he wants to supply bitumen to the Caribbean. We tried and we put up all the projections on what could be, but you can't if you don't see what the plant is like now. So we were waiting on the company to tell us, come take a look at the plant. After a year and a half, we still have not been able to set foot in the refinery. What does that tell you? That tells you that the management of the company, right, is not keen, they're not interested, right, in business. What are they doing? A good example of what they're doing is what they're not doing. You see that the Commission of Inquiry into that diving tragedy in Point-a-Pierre? That is typical of the management of Petrotrin. They had 4 people in a pipeline. They had 8 hours to rescue them, and they kept making excuses and all that, and the 4 men died in the pipeline. And they don't care. They just don't care. Now, how does that affect CEDROS? The assets of the company in Point Fortin, and not only the tanks and all that I mentioned, they have a lot of real estate. And part of the real estate is right next door to you in Chatham. That Chatham farm, right, is 650 acres of very good agricultural land. It started off as a dairy farm. It failed, right? They had thousands of citrus plants. All of them have gone to pot, right? And the land is just standing there. You know what's going to happen to that? Eventually, if they do nothing, people are going to start squatting on the land. Why do they have to wait for things to happen instead of trying to facilitate progress? And that is going to help this area. It's going to help CEDROS. That area, that 650 acres, if properly developed, could feed not only CEDROS, it could feed the whole of South Trinidad with good management. Now, that's the PNM style of management. We have criticized the PNM, and with good reason. You heard Victor Roberts a while ago. He doesn't stumble, right? He knows what he's talking about, and the PNM have done everything to be criticized. But we've reached a stage where we hardly need to do that. They have done enough to turn off people, and I think that the average citizen of Trinidad and Tobago is fed up with the PNM, and they want change. But now I'm going to point the camera right back to the UNC. We in the UNC have to do something about our own image. You can't just bad talk the PNM and feel that everybody will turn off the PNM on election day. We have to present a better image of what this country is going to be under UNC leadership. And we are a little wanting in that. But this evening I'll tell you a little bit of what the UNC will do. You all know Chatham, you know the school, you know the community center. 2 massive buildings, too big for the community. It's not too big for the community. The UNC plan was to industrialize the whole of the southwestern coast, right, from Point Fortin all the way down to Bonus. When I say industrialize, a lot of companies from overseas were going to be invited to start putting down industrial plants in this area. And if you're doing that, you need competent people to run the plants.
Correct.
And they want to be close to the jobs. And if they had to be close to the jobs, they had to live down here. So you had to put accommodation for them. That's why they had a school, right? And that's why they had a community center. And that is still not realized. So you have to look at the UNC and say, these people, and I can promise on behalf of the UNC, that when we get into office, we are going to resuscitate the Southwest Peninsula development. It's in the 2020 manifesto. It's about the best manifesto I have ever seen. The best manifesto I've ever read was the one presented by the UNC in 2020. If you have an opportunity, get a copy of it. If you don't, it's our responsibility to keep expounding what we were offering in that manifesto to you. So this is not just a fishing village, right? I am amazed and very pleased when I come down here. I see a lot of progress. I see new buildings going up, right? Shankar is doing some work, sticking behind the government to pave the roads. Keep on at it, Shankar, because we still have a long way to go, right? But this area has tremendous potential. If you listen to him, he has thoughts on tourism development in this area. And with tourism development and industrial development, there's no looking back, right, for CEDROS and the surrounding communities. I say this to you, I can put my UNC hat on and say that I speak on behalf of the UNC, that we are dead serious about getting back into government. And if we are dead serious, we have to change the way we operate, the way we project ourselves to the community, right? We have to stop patting ourselves on the shoulder, and sometimes we have to expose to the public some of the things that we did when we were there for 5 years. And Trinidad and Tobago is just waiting on the right issues to come to them to say, this is where we're going, because they're fed up with the PNM.
Let me just interject here a little bit. I really appreciate your words here this afternoon. And more so, I appreciate where you have the courage to tell us straight to our face that we have some homework to do. That is important, because we cannot believe that all is honky-dory, and you will know that slang. We have to project ourselves in a very professional manner, and we also have to bring the plans to the table that the population will see that there is some hope. But I want to get back to something you mentioned earlier on, where you speak of the tanks and so on, that some interest is there to be utilized in terms of buying crude from other areas, storing it, and then sold it when the price is nice. But I think that will always have a hiccup, because what we fail to remember sometimes is that the government had granted a bunkering license to one of their financiers, one of their friends, one of their attorneys. And that is an attorney at law who continue to get briefs from the government. So when they grant that individual that bunkering license, that individual can purchase gas and oil, crude on the high seas. And of course, there would be somewhere that it have to be stored. So Paria and Heritage may not be interested, even though that it will bring some kind of revenue to the company and to the country. They are not interested, because you see, this government continues to operate by friend, partner, and financiers. We could remember that we had the closure of Petrotrin simply because of a fake oil scandal, where one of the government financiers were involved. And of course, We had brought in international investigators, one from Canada, school, and we had another one, name just slipped away from my thoughts there, and they had done a forensic investigation into that operations, and they found out that Petrotrin at the time were paying for oil that they were not receiving. But what happened when we believe that people will be held accountable and criminal investigations will take place and people will face the courts? What we saw is that the Rowley administration shut down Petrotrin, lied to the population, tell us that Petrotrin were running at a loss, tell us that the government had to bail out Petrotrin when fishermen and friends of the sea apply to the Freedom of Information and get the documentation. We saw that Petrotrin in 2018, the same year that Rowley closed it down, were making a profit.
Yeah.
And we continue to support a government that will stand up and lie to us in relation to energy, lie to us in everything. Government, Prime Minister lying, Attorney General lying, ministers lying, President lying, everybody lying. So, I mean, you won't expect to get anywhere close to that refinery or to the tanks, because I will just leave here, as I know you have to wrap up on this point. Remember, it was Rowley and Imbert that called the trade union, the OWTU, and said, come and sign. The refinery ready, come and sign. The refinery is yours. And what happened? It was just another lie.
A bluff.
Exactly. So conclude.
All right, I will conclude by saying just one thing. It might startle you. You know where I got that information from about the two companies that want to come in and use the tank farm and the jetty and all of that? You'll never guess. Kennedy Richards. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
So don't run here. Wait. You can't just drop that and run. You can't just drop that and run. So are you telling us today, on facts, not fiction, that information comes out of the MP for Point
Member of
Fortin?
Parliament for Point Fortin. Because I went to him to complain that we were not getting any traction to enter the refinery to look at the bitumen plant. And I tried to get him to do something on our behalf, right, to get in there. And he said, boy, I'm sure you know what happened. And then he told me about the two companies that have been waiting for 2 years. Kennedy Richards, your Member of Parliament for Point Fortin.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And you hear the wealth of experience coming from the energy sector. And not only the energy sector, because growing up in primary school, we will have looked forward from the Petrotrin Trintoc farm, right, in terms of getting product. School children would have been getting fruits, as grapefruit, Portugals, and oranges, and so on, and on from the dairy side. The schools in the southwestern peninsula will be supplied with dairy products from that dairy farm, in terms of whatever product they would have actually manufactured there at that point in time. And it was shut down under a past mayor of Point Fortin, and the equipment went missing. So this corruption under PNM continue to affect the energy sector, as what you will have just heard now is directly within the within the parliamentary representative. So again, put your hands and give Mr. Bradshaw and this evening we move straight on to another activist from Point Fortin, CEDROS, no stranger to the Point Fortin CEDROS area, Mr. Brent Clark, activist that continue to advocate for betterment within the various area, and also a fiery, because we are not retirees from Petrotrin, a fiery under the PNM from Petrotrin Trinma operations. So put your hands and welcome Mr. Clark.
Welcome, my brother. Go right ahead.
Thank you, Victor.
Go right ahead.
After Mr. Bradshaw speak, it does feel like, what are you doing here? It's a hard act to follow after. You understand? But I'll do my best and we'll take it up from there. Thanks the people of Point Fortin for coming out from CEDROS. So always nice to come down here. I went to school down here, as a matter of fact, so I'm no stranger to the culture itself in the area of CEDROS. So when I used to go to school down here, I used to come down and spend holidays. We'd go and work with Philiton, with the Darlingtons, lefty, aka Lefty. We go there to do coconut when I wanted to go and fish, he said, boy, fishing is a jokey thing, you know. If you go there and they don't catch fish, you're under pressure, you know. They will say you're blight. So I never went and fish with the fishermen and them. So I have an idea about CEDROS. I have to say, coming down CEDROS for the past few years, I observed that the private sector still showing some interest in developing CEDROS, and it's not happening in Point. I'm seeing restaurants coming up. I'm seeing housing settlement coming up, small shopping centers developing, and a lot is actually happening. And we are not seeing that in Point 14. This is to say somewhat that CEDROS probably saved by the fact that it's overlapping with another corporation, and that corporation is run under the UNC, and the culture or the difference in the way that things are managed apparently seem to be working, and it's not working in the areas that where PNM control councillors do what they have to do.
Well, just to help you with that, we have seen that structure from governance, because we have seen under the People's Partnership a different culture emerge, and therefore the country itself was on an upswing where businesses were going, education was also to the top of the ladder, and things was happening. So I believe with the latter, it must be a cultural settings, because coming down from Palo Seco, I mean, when we hit coming down in CEDROS here, we actually saw a whole difference in terms of, as you rightly said, the infrastructure and the development of CEDROS. And I want to commend the councillor, because I know, of course, that the councillor would be playing a very strategic role in terms of advocating for these things to happen, and even setting the proper stage with the people within the community. So I want to let's just give the councillor a round of applause for his hard work. Continue, my brother.
All right. In adding to that, recently they had a football tournament, and the opening had to actually take place in CEDROS again, showing that CEDROS seemed to be doing something right.
Yeah.
You understand? And going back to the infrastructure setup, that oval in Mahaika, the whole of Point 14 know a lot of corruption took place in that development of that oval. It had sitting councillors there who had played football internationally. I have competed abroad, and I have never seen a stadium built in that kind of structure, and they say international and certain high standard and stuff like that. And whatever CEDROS is doing to continue development, do not take pattern from the borough of Point 14, please. Do not take pattern. You could learn from mistakes. Do not take pattern from the borough. Let's be practical. The whole of Point 14 was really and truly maintained and upkeep by the oil industry. And the oil industry has now left Point 14 significantly. Point has gotten dead. You could see the whole environment in Point 14, how dilapidated it is becoming. The pipelines, the roadside is no longer properly maintained. The people of Point 14 fail to realize how much the oil companies were actually doing to keep that community going. Now that it is in the hand of the government, which is and controlled by the borough corporation, you could see the difference. You understand? So we have to correct these things. Do not let it happen here. We have to learn from you all, because it reached a point now we are seeing progress on the private sector willing to come here. We have to look and see what you all are doing and try and encourage it up in Point 14.
But Brent, let me interject right there. And you are right. A matter of fact, let me just tell you, I play with Point 14 Civic Center for years. When I get called for the national team, Dick was the coach down there. I play with Dick Furlong. I play with Juju and Laddie and
all the names I know.
Right, all these guys, right? I was the actually I is the man that put Dick on the bench as the goalkeeper, right? So you're supposed to know that I was like a bird. But nevertheless, and Trinma used to assist Civic Center financially. And today when you pass through Point 14 and you see the way in which Point 14 now degrades, not only itself, but I think the standard of living in relation to the people of Point 14, it ain't how long again. And I want to tell you, if the PNM continue for the next 2 years, to 2025, I am telling you that you will see a lot of beggars in Point 14. And not only Point 14.
Let me interject a bit there. It had a video circulating about people don't even understand what level of poverty they actually be living in.
Yeah.
I don't know if people saw that video circulating. And that's a perfect example of Point 14. I think we have a generation coming up here now don't know what Point 14 was like. And the thinking, I can't use them words here, see in trouble, is normal.
Yeah.
You understand? I had a conversation with a young man through a friend of mine, and we asked him, you do what better for yourself? He asked, what is better? That's a reality. That's the answer we got. What is better? He was unemployed. He was always hustling people for money. And he had the audacity to ask, what is better? So come on, people. That is the way how people in Point 14 is becoming to think. Well, at one stage, we were like looking for opportunity to go down on the base and see if a contractor could give us a job to get a hustle, to feed with family, understand what the industry is, start thinking about buying piece of land, car, opening a business. That is where the mindset was years ago. Now, the generation now asking what is better, because all Point 14 seem to be considering acceptable is a hustler, a block, a 10 days. Being critical at 10 days, 10 days is supposed to be a stepping stone for you when you're under pressure. I only found out when it was last year that 10 days is a correct. People have stayed in 10 days as a way of life all their life. You understand? And that was shocking to me. I came up from the industry, started working there young, and it was a very, very big surprise to me to actually find out that 10 days was a way of life for some people. And as I said, not being critical to it, but we have to understand that, look, the people of Point 14 have much more potential. They could step up their life, they could increase their standard of living. Take example from stop thinking about the handouts that the PNM government giving them. Increase the standard of thinking and let me make this community better again. CEDROS is doing it right.
Increasing the standard of thinking is one thing, but the next thing, the flip side to that is what opportunities are available. We have every year a number of well-educated students coming out from the educational system. But when they come out, you know where these people going and look for a job? In a clothes store, by KFC, you understand? I mean, in a bar. No, I'm not degrading any job scope, but I'm saying when you have young, brilliant minds who fresh out of school, properly well, take time to study, burn the midnight oil, get their subjects, and some of them go to university, get their degree and so on. When all that is over, the next thing you have to hear is who trying to get on a plane to see if they could go Canada or America, because the opportunities that ought to be here in this country, the government remove it. When we could speak to and Mr. Brashaw was raising the point with development in Chatham and other areas, when you could see a government set up a university in Debe, putting the necessary infrastructure where the people from the Southland would be able to go to school, go there, come back home, not having to go Port of Spain to rent an apartment and so on. Setting up the infrastructure, inviting international students, where when these students come, they will have facilities to rent, bringing forex, bringing US dollar back to the country. And to the end of the day, our government, because of wickedness and because of racial discrimination, who believe that a university in Debe is for Indian people, they rowley government rather to see that university close and the children suffer. The children have to leave South and go to Port of Spain, go to the university, rent, spend time away from their families. So that tells you, when you have a government without vision, a government who is vindictive, a government who don't care, a government who a minister will stand up and say, let me acknowledge Tiwari in the crowd. Right? When I think one Calypsonian sing a song and tell us that it looked like that individual has get trimmed with a weed whacker, right? I think is actually right is a Calypsonian sing that song, right?
Singing
And
Lady Gypsy.
Yeah, right. So I just want to be sure, right?
Lady Gypsy,
Right?
yes.
So when you watch that individual will stand up and addressing a crowd, you think that she just picked out that East Indian person in the crowd for so? No, the PNM, anything the PNM does, there's a motive behind it. And if point people want to sit down under the wings of Kennedy and under the wings of Rowley and have to stand up by KFC and ask for $1 and rob and thief like what is happening. I have seen a set of murder taking place in Point, robbery, home invasion, because that is what the government is creating. When you fail to create opportunities for the young people will create opportunities for themselves. And the opportunity that they will create, it will not be something that you and I
For real.
would be pleased with, brother.
True.
That is the reality. So people in Point 14 had to wake up. People in Labre had to wake up. People in the Beatum had to wake up. People in Lavanti had to wake up. Arima, La Hoqueta, and all these areas that is controlled by the PNM. As I always tell you, I will say it again, the enemy to your success is your PNM. That is the reality.
Let me close with these little information. Nothing as drastic as Mr. Bradshaw, but as serious as Mr. Bradshaw. But let me say this: in CEDROS, Point 14, anyone who wants to have a career, whether it be in engineering, whether it be in politics, whether it will be in any form of profession, do you know we have to look at going beyond from San Fernando, go up? There's no industries in Labre. There's few. If you want a career, you have to come out of Point 14, and Point 14 have all these resources and no significant industries are being placed here to develop these areas. Why? Because, let me be straight up, we the people of Point 14 are allowing people only do what you allow them to do, and they allow the PNM to treat them like crap. You understand what I'm saying?
Well said.
They only
Well
do
said.
what they allow you to do.
Well said.
So we have to look at stopping that. Don't teach your children and them to go and put your ex by the balize to what? Take you from here. After independence, you had the industry running a particular way, you had social class at a different position. The PNM, they say they are African people, and the African people are the least educated. We are more, our employment is not as attractive.
Well, they just say to know URB.
You understand? So we were here and then we were there, and they tell you, put your ex by that balize, you wake up now.
How long PNM ruled Point 14 for? Mr. Basho, you might be able to tell us.
Over 5 years.
Except 86.
Yeah.
Which part of the African drugstore is in Point?
Making me feel like I'm not from Point. We don't have a God. Point money spot back.
All right.
No, there is none.
Which part of the African big supermarket is in Point?
Weeks in New Village. That's the only closest thing I could think about.
I talking about.
Not a big supermarket,
No, I
but
talking
the
about big.
only.
We talking about
No, there is
small
none. There is none.
All right.
There is none. There is none.
All right. Now good enough.
So I just want to close. Do not let the PNM do all of this. Teach other children something different. As Mr. Victor was saying earlier on, at a certain age they wouldn't affect it. They just assured of the pension. Imagine you living and excited to reach 65. You praying to get old. That's sick. That is the content. That is the content. Point 14. Oh God, I can't wait until 65 to get my pension. You praying to get old, dead.
But not only that, they pray for mommy and daddy to death to get the house too.
Oh God, but let me do that. Let me look and concentrate on these young. Teach your children them to stay away from that PNM government. Teach your children them to aim for something high. Teach your children to aim for a certain standard, for betterment. From the moment they say PNM, get away from that. Show them the results of that. And let we move forward as a community. See just what you're doing, something working. Keep doing it. We want to talk to you and learn something what happening so we can transfer it up in Point. Have a good night.
done with the love.
Let me just tell you how easy that is to get a chance for
Somebody
employment.
thieving the soul of a nation. Somebody driving this country mad. And we, yes, you and me, we have to stop this conspiracy. I'm telling you, we, yes, you and me, we have to stop this conspiracy. Somebody thieving the soul of a nation.
Let me tell you how easy it is to fix that problem. You want what happening in CEDROS happening point? Elevate your councillor to the member of parliament. Easy as that.
Drug addiction and prostitution.
The road is rough. The numbers are few. But once you stand for the development of your community, one number will count. Because today, we continue to fight without in government, right? And the position of CEDROS is close to my heart. I have born in CEDROS and I will continue to be a stalwart in advocating for better living conditions. We had proposed a CEDROS boardwalk to create an avenue for employment and so on. And it was fight down by one or two numbers of the PNM, right? Pointing that there was environmental concern to build what they did in Shagaramas, what we did in Shagaramas, the UNC government, was to transfer that under the tourism sector, under the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa, to create the CEDROS boardwalk. It's on the thing. And the PNM continue to fight me, but it will be built and continue to develop. The fishermen will continue to have facilities and we will advocate. I don't sit in the Sipara Regional Corporation and look after box drains and paving road. I go into local and also international agencies to bring help to the CEDROS district. And today, I want to announce that we, on the 11th of February, we're having a medical outreach program in collaboration with the SWRHA, Southwest Region, and also Sewa Titi and UNHCR, together with Living Waters, for all the district in terms of our better health condition, which the health condition continue to deteriorate in the CEDROS district. But we'll hear a little more about it when I come on. So straight away, I want to bring on, we want to start the conversation this evening again with the youths and to hear their views, because they are the future of this country and this community. So I want to bring on Mr. Raquel Gaya, right, as a youth, hear his plight and some of his experience after having a diploma in education. He is now still trying to make a hustle, right, on a fishing vessel to make a day's work. So,
wow.
Well, and that is the hardship that we are facing down here in creating the opportunities for our young people. So we'll hear more. Put your hands together and bring Mr. Gaya and hear his.
Good evening. Well, just so you all spoke about much of my speech, much of what I wanted to talk about, which is the lack of opportunities in CEDROS.
Yeah.
Now, as Mr. Brent said, he didn't know that 10 days was a job in CEDROS and CPEP, but did you know that in CEDROS, if you are known for supporting UNC, you can't get 10 days, you can't get a work in CPEP? Yeah. I used to work for the Ministry of Social Development. We had an office down there. Under the PNM government, the first year, 6 months, they closed down the office. Yeah. We have the resources to have a Ministry of Agriculture sub-office in our area to start back industries such as the coconut, cocoa, imagine we send workers to Canada to plant on the agriculture when we ourselves could be doing this. As youths, one of our main opportunities is the sea, fishing. But fishing these days is a dangerous job. You're taking your life in your own hands when you go out in the water. just to get fish. And we in CEDROS don't even have a market. According to Mr. Brent, the private sector, yes, but if we don't depend on the private sector to open a market, we can't get our fish sell. Families, men can't feed their families, people can't feed their families. Our council is he does really try, eh? People just get a little work on that Superior Regional Corporation and thing, and he just try to help everybody, so it doesn't be anything stable. You might get two and you will still glad fit, because you will still glad somebody else able to feed the family for that month, or as the case may be.
So let me just ask this. You started by telling us that the job you had in CEDROS, that job was started under the PNM, or
no? That was started under the UNC, under the PNM government. They closed the whole unit of.
So how long you worked for before they closed it?
I worked for 11 months.
Right, and within the first 5-6 months that they came in, they shut it down.
Yeah.
All right. Secondly, the agriculture sector in CEDROS, which of course we know CEDROS is known for the coconut, right? That we just stick to that for the time being. What you would like to see in CEDROS in terms of developing the agriculture sector in CEDROS? There is no sub-office down here in terms of agriculture.
No, there's no office.
So who give you all advice in terms of whatever agriculture is being done down here? Is it to say that you just Google and work with that, or you have extension officers would be coming in from point down in CEDROS and dealing with you all on a regular basis, or is a one in a...
But that is it. To be able to get assistance from the agriculture office, you need to have land and you need to have all the various documents, right? But for poor people who don't have these things, is unless someone from the private sector, unless someone decide that, well, we want to go into the industry of manufacturing the coconut and all the various products. Unless that is done, there will be no way forward. There will be nothing will come out of this. The government well, if we could see this, at least they could see that it have profit into the manufacturing of the coconut, the byproducts or whatsoever. Into the fishing industry, they could open a market and allow vendors to come and buy and sell, as the case may be, and collect a rent. I remember reading in 2015 that Trinidad and Tobago in international news that Trinidad and Tobago was 95% employed as a population. 95% of the people was employed, and the other 5 was still offered means as like white tip and other avenues of receiving stipend and such. I myself attend the white tip classes and thing, and since under the PNM government there is no more white tip classes.
I have seen people have small businesses where they bring the coconut oil. As a matter of fact, I've seen some of the cleanest coconut oil down in the Carcass CEDROS. Is it to say that you believe that an industry, a serious processing plant will make a difference down here, where the youths and other people can be employed in that industry? Yes. Where we could make this thing viable, or even have it, a matter of fact, going out to the international markets?
Yes,
because I know that CEDROS could be considered the home of coconut. So I think that the councillor At some point, at some point in time, can be elevated to the member of parliament, seeing that he have the seeing that he have the interests of the people of CEDROS at heart. I think that it would be a very, very good thing for the committee of CEDROS. Go ahead, Councillor.
Yeah, see, to comment on the coconut industry and give you a little history.
Yeah.
Under the PNM government, that shut down the same coconut industry, right? And imported, when they allowed Lever Brothers to shut down operations and allow them to leave this country because of the fact that the Oil and Fat Conference that continue to have the product, the raw material product, which is coconut oil, remain at 81 cents per pound, right? At those days, that is almost in the late 1970s, early 1980s, right? And the farmers who were farming were forced to look at alternative crops to farm their land. So it is the same PNM government today is saying that shut down the coconut industry, imported other oils from other regions, and we would know what we talk about, soybean oil and so on. Today, they are saying coconut oil in the world market is king. Similarly, the same situation we face with sugar today. So there was no vision in the agricultural sector, right? And farmers today, right, continue to face large estate owners. We have the largest estate in the CEDROS district, Carcass area, which is Constance Estate. And other large estates are seeing problems in terms of revitalizing and having the necessary processing plant. There is a market for it. There is a revitalization program. But the Ministry of Agriculture and the Ministry of Agriculture continue to fail in providing the infrastructure, right? A coconut bottled water plant should be established. I'm working with some commercial and business partners to establish that sort of thing, wet coconut process. Right where we sit, we have a small manufacturing plant to the back of this building, doing that processing of agricultural products and marketing both locally and internationally. So those are some of the things that I'm partnering with in terms of creating the business community in the agricultural sector. And he's quite correct. Since 9 years now, I have been advocating for a CEDROS market, not the normal traditional market, the market to have both the normal traditional market and also small business on the above floor, similar to what we have in Siparia, a miniature version of it. You know what's the problem? That application for the land is sitting somewhere in state land, waiting for the minister to approve the land for the Siparia Regional Corporation to build the building, to start the building. When we send the approval, Tongue and Country is indicating that we have to get approval from the Minister of Agriculture to build a CEDROS market. But we're talking local government reform, but the Siparia Regional Corporation don't have the authority to utilize and develop the land in the CEDROS or within the Siparia Regional Corporation. We still has to go to the Ministry of Agriculture, state land, which is part of the Ministry of Agriculture, to get lands, right, to do these projects to benefit the fisher folks and other small business opportunities we have. And that's where the struggle goes. And every time I have the opportunity in the Siparia Regional Corporation, I raise this issue. Where we are with our cremation site, where we are with the CEDROS market, where we are with the CEDROS boardwalk, right? But Mr. Foster Cummins could find lands in Chatham and put his party groups and put infrastructure and so on, right? Because if you don't have a PNM party card, right, you are not a citizen of this country. But that has to change, and that will change, because the Honorable Kamala Prasad was fair to all in this country. A citizen of Trinidad and Tobago must benefit from the natural resources and what this country has to produce. So we have to stand and continue. And your march should start from Carcass to Port of Spain.
It coming.
It coming.
It coming.
So put your hands together, Mr. Rikal Gaya, and we go in nice and to hear it starting from CEDROS. And we are bringing on a very dynamic speaker, a young person who advocates for youth, no other than a resident, a son of the soil, Mr. Jesse Ramcharan. Again, a fiery from Petrotrin.
Welcome, sir.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody. The chair, to the councillor, to everyone that gathered tonight. Thank you for the invitation to be at this community meeting to speak. And I was asked to speak on a very significant topic. But before I get into it, kudos to all the speakers that went before and the information that you all shared. And to everybody's point, everyone would have shared somebody's point as well to speak. So, yes, you all would have touched on a lot of what I plan to speak on as well. But that tells one thing, right? It carries across through some of the things that are affecting each one of us in different ways in different sectors. So let me ask the question tonight as it concerns the youth. If you in the crowd could identify at least one opportunity that you think there is or there are out there for youths in CEDROS right now, name a program or name some initiative that there is right now that you could think of. Anybody? Trade school. It needs one. It doesn't have. So you're speaking to the lack thereof. Anybody else? All right. So I was asked to talk on that tonight to highlight the lack thereof of the opportunities for youth development, to focus on youth, right? And I have listed down a few points that we'll get into discuss. But if you know me, I like to stick to my speech, because if we have to have a conversation, this could go really long. But we can have that, right? So allow me to do it, right? It is of the utmost importance that we really look to and tackle this type of conversation. I like to do it with recognizing the root cause analysis and then finding that solution. So I didn't just come here to talk about problems. I came to propose solutions as well. And I'm hoping that it can be done through this party as well, being the opposition, as well as in collaboration with the existing government, because that's what we need, right? We don't want just to oppose the idea. We want to really put forward something and see that it happens, because why? It's benefiting everybody. It doesn't benefit the party only. So I think that we all know that our community, CEDROS, is no less impacted than another from the lack thereof of having employment opportunities for youths. Right, and that stems to also added crime, and then you have drug use as well. So we have the grappling effect of high crime rates and drug abuse. So it's imperative that we focus on youth development and how well we can support each youth with the resources. So we have to ask ourselves what has been done over the years thus far, or if there were any programs, why are there not anymore, and what happened to the many that were there that stopped? Because we want to do impact, right? So if it's our future we're talking about as professionals, and we're looking out for youths, then we cannot afford to ignore the struggles that the youths are facing. One of the points that we talked on earlier, and if I should categorize it and call it, is a local brain drain. And what do I mean by that? You know, the term is brain drain. We get educated and we leave the country. But you realize that if you grow up in CEDROS and you educate, you have to leave CEDROS and find employment in either the capital city or somewhere far from where you live it. So that's what you want to call a local brain drain. So then what that means is that all the experience life of that individual growing up, going to school, getting educated, becoming a professional, there is no return to the community that they grew up from. And I'm speaking case in point of myself, right? I am one of the many that had to seek employment in Port of Spain. Well, I was employed at Petrotrin, and then that situation happened. But after that, the next job I found was in Port of Spain. And then you see that happening to many other people, so that you have to leave CEDROS and go out of the area. What does that do for the community? It just takes out of it. Nobody's adding back, right? But I always fight for the fact that we need to look at investing in communities, especially rural and coastal, because we can turn these communities into micro towns. Why? I once advocated on our platform the idea that you think that because we're in a coastal area, in a fishing community, that fishing is the only job out there that we should be doing default. No discrimination to fishing. My dad is a fisherman, was one, right? That's how I grew up. But what I'm saying to you is that having the resources, you'd have options to choose. If you don't have, you default to what's out there. Correct. So if it is you're faced with crime and you have no other options, but you have to have the survival of the fittest out there, you're gonna go and resort to what's easily accessible and turn to fishing. Now again, that's not a bad thing, but it's not sustainable to really invest into you as a youth for the future, for now, and even for your future generations. So then why can't we invest into programs into the communities such that these youths would then have programs that they could work on, they can be mentored, they can be trained, and then come back into the same community and then do work. And I want to bring the point out to the fact that, can somebody tell me under which government was it and under what meaning was the Chatham Youth Camp formed? And the reason for asking that is, what's the status of it right now? Right? It's just there. I don't know if it's operational. Right. Some people say go on through. Was the place, if it's overtaken with bush, it's not been used, right? Right. So basically, it's not being utilized, and I want to say that that is one facility that existed from ever since I know myself, but it has not been used properly and has not been repurposed to meet today's demands. If we're talking about youths, let's look at the idea of, we're proposing an idea for youths, right? Because we're recognizing that there's a lack of opportunities for youths. Why can't we invest into programs such that in the community of CEDROS, being a coastal area, we look at using that facility together with different community centers to bring community development programs and traineeship programs with small companies, whereby when you train these people, they can go back into the community and do that same thing that they learn. And I'm not talking about the Ministry of Social and Community Development that offers a 3 months course where you learn and get a certificate. No, I'm talking about trade work, just like the gentleman said, at trade school. If you can't build a trade school, utilize the sentence that we have. Bring the education down at no cost, which means that the government needs to invest the money, subsidize as well, get partnerships with companies, and invest into educating these youths. And I'm talking about both youths who have been educated, are professional, and the youths who are marginalized, meaning youths who are impacted by crime. Youths who are coming from families who are less fortunate and cannot afford to send their kids to school or to have that continued education, right? So if it is we investing in those type of programs, the person, won't we then see, a return of investments in the community? We have programs, we have the youths then doing something infrastructure-wise to the community. CEDROS is known as a coastal region. We have the coastal erosion impact happening at Columbus and at Constant. What has been happening for years after the many cries to the different ministries? They have done nothing. But if we propose the idea of getting the right programs by the right people, the right ministries to come out and train people in CEDROS to do these things. We don't have to invest millions as they do and handing out contracts to different campaign financiers to come and do the project. We ourselves in CEDROS can handle these things through the different leadership that we have. So I'm also saying is that thinking about a future idea, the government, and we can propose that, and the government need to look at really and truly having a mentorship and a training program under each line of the ministry. Look at the employment throughout the entire country right now. There's so many people that lost their jobs, and finding a job is hard because the industry is so hard. But if we're looking at the opportunities and ways, creative ways to find and make jobs, then look at the different industries and look at the different ministries. I am proposing the idea that under each ministry there should be a mentorship, training, development program, such that people who are less fortunate to have been educated or become that professional and have nothing to do in the community or no resources to turn to, give them the opportunity, train them, mentor them, provide them with the skill set they need under each line of ministry, and then the ministry creates that opportunity for employment in the community. How does that sound? It provides a solution to the fact that there is a lack thereof and we need to do these things. So we have OJT and we have NESC in point. What about White-Up? Is it still around? No. Okay, so we need traineeship programs. I want to put forward that the Chatham Youth Development, whoever in power needs to look at bringing that back on stream with a whole sustainable approach for attacking programs for youths in CEDROS and youths in point as to how well it can be used. A few of the points mentioned earlier, the three major things that CEDROS residents have been looking forward to is the CEDROS market, the cremation site, and the boardwalk. Not just for recreational purposes, but it adds value to the community. And if the youths themselves are involved in the program, it gives them employment and it gives them the opportunity to find value in yourself. If you're only exposed to crime, you as a person, as a youth out there, you're not going to realize that there's better opportunities for you or better value to yourself, right? So And I also want to talk about the rehabilitation program of persons who are affected by crime, youths. If we're talking for youths, we can't leave out those persons who have been impacted by crime, who have done crime. Think about this scenario. You know you need a job and they ask you for certificates, character, right? Well, that's a whole issue to get one right now. But if it is you to get it and it says that you have a record on it, chances are that your employer not going to employ you, right? But it ends right there. But it shouldn't end right there, because then what is going to happen with the youth who has that on the record? There needs to be a rehabilitation program such that these youths can have a mentorship program whereby they get back into that space to be employed. So there needs to be some sort of program whereby leaders, proper leaders, need to invest skill set into them and let them know that they can turn their problems around and have those stumbling blocks into stepping stone. How are you going to incorporate back these people into society? Is that we just saying after you reach there and you committed a crime, you're no longer accepted? Is that what we're telling the youths? How are the youths then to then see themselves and their families for the future to come if we don't invest into them and we don't make them value and have them see the value that they can add to themselves, their families, and the community? So my talk tonight is about the lack thereof, about the opportunities for youths in CEDROS and Point. So I'm creating the conversation for you all to start realizing there is a big absence and gap, but that we need to really bring forward the potential for opportunities and how we can promote solutions that they can implement. We can't just wait for them to do it and hope they'll never do it, right? Let's talk about the turning CEDROS. You mentioned industrialized CEDROS, and I remember having been overjoyed about that idea because it meant so much to people in CEDROS. So I'm talking about the reverse of the localized brain drain, because when you do that, you bring in employment to CEDROS, you're keeping CEDROS people right in CEDROS, and you're adding value and wealth to the CEDROS people rather than we have to leave the area and go elsewhere. But it's bringing jobs and so much more. And I've spoken about the idea about creating micro towns. Decentralization is always going to be a conversation for Trinidad because it either benefits politicians or business people. But we need to look at our own individuals and how much time we spend in traffic and the roads going back and forth, and how much it takes out of us and what value it really adding to us as young people. And that's why if opportunities present themselves, young people are going to continue to leave Trinidad and go if they can't get that. And you can't blame them, right? What is it for them to keep them here? One, if the opportunity is not there for them to grow as a person of value, they're going to leave. Two, if they're not going to get a form of wealth, then they have to find other opportunities. So if you're not having opportunities, then you're going to turn to a life of crime. Not so? And that's why we have so much crime right now. But the third one is that if you're not making them feel valuable, then are we just going to look at the leaders who are turning, in the category of over 50 and not really having to give the youths opportunities even in politics? We need to realize that youths carry our future, meaning therefore that the younger ones really share more, they understand more, and they can give better advice in terms of the perspective that they see it. So I just want to also share the idea that it's not just only to CEDROS area and only to the ideas that we're missing in the opportunities, but our voices need to be heard from the top-down approach in terms of even at governmental levels, and those type of programs come all the way down to the fishing community, because we have to work together to build that up, and that's how we're going to get better at it, right? One of the other things is, Brent, you spoke about recognizing how CEDROS still has development from private partnership. And if it is the government is not backing companies, there's going to be the lack thereof for them to want to fulfill their corporate social responsibilities. But if there are initiatives, they're going to feel more compelled, right? Because they're going to be encouraged to do more. And I'm saying that while I'm here recognizing that there's a big gap, proposing solutions is that we have to advocate continuously for it. So that's why I'm a youth advocate, because you can't recognize problems without promoting solutions. And I'm here to say that even in the UNC, we need to recognize youths play a big role in the future of where the party lies as well too. Because you have undecided voters and you have swing voters. If it is the party cannot recognize and value the youths, then what are you saying to the young people out there? We don't take you on. We don't want to hear you because we have our own agenda. The youths need to get a bigger space in party, even if the UNC is in opposition, so that they can feel valued, welcome, their image can be aligned with the intention for future. And I'm saying this to encourage that, because we need to know that there may be a disconnect from top down. And while the PNM is a challenge to get things done for the CEDROS area, we need to know that if it is UNC is controlled in the corporation, where the people, the youths expect something out of the corporation back to the community. The youths are not going to understand the science and the politics behind the hierarchy of who is going to the council and then the councillor to the MP. They need to see tangible responses out there. We need to see activities. We don't want excuses, and that's what's going to lead you in terms of getting your voters for the next election when you need it. If it is you don't provide to them, you can't provide a promise, and then they don't have anything to measure on. So then the question may come and ask, so then how does the opposition measure what can we do different? Because you're in the opposition, you're not in government. And that is to show you measure by comparing your different manifestos. And you're right, the last best manifesto was 2020, and the one before that was built on. And I totally admire that manifesto because there was a plan, but each part of the manifesto was linked to an SDG, Sustainable Development Goal. And that is forward thinking, future, that is sustainability, and that's how we as a youth see the world. We don't just see it in black and white anymore. We look at climate change, we look at youth development, we look at different opportunities and problems out there and how we can be part of the solution. Because why? We don't just think that those leaders in position are going to be there. We know that we are the ones to champion and advocate our cause. So that's why here tonight, I want to end off with the fact that my point is really recognizing that there's been a big gap in the absence of youth programs and initiatives for CEDROS and Point. And you rightly said that Point has lost so much over the years with the absence of the oil and energy sector, and you see it from how it looks like on the road and the people and the lack of employment. Now, when you think about it, it's like if I have to go and get something, I need to leave CEDROS and go Sando because Point doesn't afford me with those opportunities anymore. There are a lack of businesses. But CEDROS has and is upcoming with many opportunities. So I want to encourage more youths, if you are out there and you're an entrepreneur, to keep doing and get involved with different NGOs, get involved in corporate businesses, propose your ideas and see, because it isn't political at the end of the day. I'll tell you why. All of us are going to be affected by it. What is political is when we turn governance into politics. And I'm talking about when we have the government, that is. I always say there's a difference in that, is that you should have governance and leadership, not politics. And what we see here today in our country is too much politics at play. And too much of the top level people just seeing where the money is going, and it's not coming to the younger people and the people out there that needs it. Think about yourself, as apart from a youth, and see how distant the government has become to you who are facing the challenges out here of no employment, crime, lack of resources or anything. But you know what is one thing? Everybody faces the same challenge, but we don't really see it. We say it collectively. But if it is you were to ask somebody in secret how you getting by on a day-to-day basis, and they pause and they really give you the answer, it's startling, Because why? It's amazing to see some of us, some people here, right here, don't even know where the next meal coming from or how they're getting paid money to pay their bills the next day, but we make it work. But it's frightening because it's borderline on if you go crazy and you don't know what to do, then you might do what the criminal do, right? So we then have to make sure that we walk that fine line by finding resources and opportunities. And that's what I'm saying. Anybody in a position to help with an opportunity should help the youths out there. It's not about politics and party. We need to be the light in the community and let the companies know that they can work with us. So that's my contribution for tonight.
Let me just interject right on that point there, because you started off by asking a question when you said that the opportunities for the youths, if it's not there, why it's not there. Mm-hmm. And that is one of the reasons why I became a member of the UNC, because the policies that the UNC brought between 2010 and 2015, it was all geared to develop the youth. Right. There were a number of courses. There were also the MIC, the NESC, the GATE, the list goes on. We had the drilling school, we had the aviation school, we had all these different academy put in place, and it was geared to develop the youth, to have the youth become self-sustainable and create opportunities, employment opportunities, creating the avenues where the youth can even become, as you said, entrepreneurs throughout the length and breadth of this country. And the reason why it is not here today is because we, the people, simply made the wrong choice. And because of the wrong choice, all the opportunities that were there for you as a youth growing up, and for my kids and other people kids, go down the drain.
You're quite right.
And that is why we have to stand up. And I really admire and appreciate what you have said here today. And I trust and hope that that message that you bring to the table today will touch the youths, the mind of the youth, so that they will see how important it is to be a part of the decision making in this country.
Yes.
Because one of the reasons why we, a matter of fact, and I'm being straight, we have this government in power is because the youths, rightly so, said, what are we going and vote for? No opportunity for we. We just know the politicians didn't care about us, so what are we going and vote for? Now, that is the demise of the youth, because the opportunities that was there gone. So I trust and hope that the young people would understand that voting have consequences, and of course, collectively, I am a member of the UNC, and hear what I just say all the time. I am the voice for the poor, the oppressed, and the downtrodden, the young people. And if the UNC believe that it could behave itself as the PNM, I will be the first to speak out.
Right.
First to speak out against it. That is my position across the board. Now, and I will tell you this before I go, there's some people in the UNC who don't like what I just said, but it matters not, because I believe merit must be the order of the day, not friend and partner.
Correct.
I think that if you are qualified for a job, you should get the job.
That's
And
it.
somebody who is my friend shouldn't get the job because of friendship.
No.
So we have to take a stand, because to move this country forward, we have to move the youths forward. To move this country forward, we have to develop our human resources. To move this country forward, we must recognize that people like him is who will have to take the reins of power to move Trinidad and Tobago forward. So I thank you very much for your contribution, and stay blessed.
And we, yes, you and me, we have to stop this conspiracy. I'm telling you, we, yes, you and me, we have to stop this conspiracy. Somebody keep in this whole of the nation.
Yes, so Victor, that's the conversation that we started in CEDROS.
Yeah.
The voice of the youths, so that we are collecting the information and starting the discussion in terms of what the future generation wants to see happening from CEDROS to the extent Trinidad and Tobago. We already start, as you would have heard, Mr. Clark indicated, that the sporting facilities in Point Fortin is no longer. They have to start their program in CEDROS. One of the things I do, I try to have these facilities on a regular basis up to the standard that is required for both local and international sporting events. And that is some of the things that we're trying to achieve. We have other proposals in the pipeline for, again, as I want to reiterate, the CEDROS boardwalk, the encouragement to encourage farmers in the CEDROS district, and that's something that I will talk a little later on, and also the other opportunities that is now coming out from those young youths that we are creating that conversation in the CEDROS district, to the extent putting it forward to the national executive to have it being proposed in as soon as we get into government under the distinguished leadership of the Honorable Kamala Prasad-Bissessar. These are some of the things that will be starting together, tying into the manifesto that is already.
Let me just say this. I being the chairman of the constituency executive for Labray, I am going to set up my youth arm with individuals like this gentleman. I am going to set up a youth arm where the youths will have their say within the executive. Because if we does not pay attention to our youths, we will lose them.
Definitely.
We will lose them. So go ahead, my counsel.
Yeah, and also the chairman of Point Fortin constituency, we could work together and create an elaborate Point Fortin CEDROS youth arm for
Appreciate it.
So with no further ado, I want to bring in a rebel. I call him a rebel from CEDROS that continue to hammer the present administration for betterment, for infrastructural issue, and you just say his name, he's ready to move. One man, anytime, any hour. We are under the watchful eyes of the TTPS as we continue to work. But we are there to just bring relief for the residents in the Southwest region, and that's why they pay close attention to us. So I bring in Mr. Sunil Sukram to lend a few words, and we monitor his time, because if we allow him, he will go on and say from 1 cent to nonsense. So we continue.
Good night to the listening audience. Mr. Tilok Singh, thanks. I'd like to welcome everybody here to Mr. Tilok Singh office. And this, what we doing here, as Mr. Roberts said, we want to spread it throughout the country.
Yeah.
Mr. Roberts, that is the only councillor sitting in opposition, what we had in CEDROS. From Mr. John William to now, every one of the councillor was in government. And if that gentleman was in government, when the People's Partnership in government, you didn't have to come CEDROS again. We had everything. We had everything. What little resources Mr. Tilok Singh get, he spent it back in CEDROS. Right? And if, as I said, if he was in government, when the People Partnership was there, we'd have everything. Right? We wouldn't have to go and block road, police and run me and he down. Right? We'd have everything. But tonight, my topic is on water. The Carcass people, Bodram Trace people, even Granville, Coromandel people see in trouble for water. My thing is to all it tonight, let we come together. Either Marvin Gonzalez come CEDROS, or we go to he. Right? I work in the corporation, and I could tell you where every leak is in CEDROS. Right? Right now, Bodram Trace area, there are 3 leaks. Granville, to supply CEDROS, it have over 5. You should know that from the road to go, where you're going to your land. How much leak it is? Right. Every day here on that road. Water wasting. What it is Marvin doing? Marvin, hear what? I want to send this message to you. If you ain't come CEDROS, I bring in CEDROS people in Port of Spain. We ain't getting water. Sunday gone, a gentleman in Bodram Trace tell me, he have 4 tanks. He ain't know what he doing next. Chatham have a plan, Granville have a plan. Bodram Trace is in the center. Where the water going, the water wasting. The people not getting it because Marvin not giving his people the resources. You know, I talked to Awasa worker one day. I said, what have I seen all here? Here what you tell me? They send all the vehicle for servicing. I said, so what are they doing? He said, well, we just have to sit down and wait. When you getting it back, they don't know. For inspection, for tires. So the workers just go in Guapo, making their 8 hours, sitting down, and coming back home while people suffering for water. So Bodram Trace people, the Carcass people, we cannot wait on Mr. Tilok Singh. He trying every time. He phone us ring out in the night, daylight, everything. Sharon, he does eat sometime. Because every time he on the phone, he calling this one and Wasa, he calling that one. We need to get up and support Mr. Tilok Singh. If we don't do that, we'll continue being seen trouble in CEDROS. Right? And people here, I'm telling all you, let me get up. Let me rally around with this gentleman. He trying. He trying a lot. I just be there 24 or here in the conversation. He will call different ministry for this, for that. We have to help that man. Don't go on Facebook and bash that man. As I said, that is the only council that's sitting opposition. From PNM, NAR, UNC, partnership, all councils was in government. All. Mr. Tilok Singh is the only man sitting opposition. And he trying. So let we don't bash him. Let we work with him. Right? We want something done. When here we go and block the road, don't call here and say, council, what are you doing? Say, no, council, look, I have 100 tire. I will come and light it. I, Sunil Sukram, will come and light the tire. I want Rohan to come. right? Selby built 2 bridge under the NRM. Mr. Bradshaw, remember that? The great Sadiq Baksh built 4. Rohan can't fix 1 landslip. In 7 years. Right? That's the kind of thing. When Mr. Tilak Singh talking, let we support him. Let we come together with him. Don't bash him. Don't bash him because your box drain is fixed. No. He had to fight to get the money to get the box drain. Right? What did we make? I went to him, measure from Captiville the Caucus. All his proposal, all gone in. When we get any road, Mr. Tilak Singh, when the money pass. When the money go pass. It have no money. They say they have no money. Right? It have no money. Right? So I want all you tonight, let we come together. Let we find a solution so that we go get water. Hear what? What the Awasa official come by me? He said we want to drill our next well in Granville. I said that is a good idea. But will the people in Caucus get the water? He said, why are you asking me? I say no, all the water wasting. So you don't need to drill our next well. Work with what it have. Fill that tank in Granville. So that the people of the Caucus could get the water. Fix the plan in Chatham so that both Drum Trace people could get water. I could go now. Mr. Roberts, if you have a time with me, come with your camera crew. I will carry and show you everywhere where all the water leaking. Where it's wasting and people cannot get. And Marvin want to sit down in a recliner in Port of Spain and say everything well and good. And make mischief. I want to, you know who he's sending home? The people that receive any call when they don't get water. He don't send them to Thierry. Why he go home? Why he don't go home? Why Marvin don't resign? And I am calling on Marvin, if you cannot do the job, resign. And that is my thing tonight.
Let me just interject before you go. It was the Prime Minister who sat with Marvin Gonzal, I believe it was on a Meet the People talk. And it was the Prime Minister who sit down with his legs full and tell Trinidad and Tobago that he have selected a man who knows absolutely nothing about WASA. When Marvin Gonzal said that he don't know leaking pipes will cause the pressure to fail from going up the hill. And Rowley boasted and tell this country that, you see, that is why I appoint him as the minister, because he knows nothing about WASA.
I never imagined that leaks could have prevented people from getting an efficient water supply, because it breaks down pressure and the water cannot go to communities on the upper levels.
He never believed that.
And that is why, as Prime Minister, I was very happy after the election results came out. And I got somebody who had no connection, no understanding, no nothing to do with WASA.
So it tells you that not only Marvin Gonzal is an idiot, it tells you the Prime Minister is a bigger idiot to appoint a man who knows nothing. That is real. This is facts, not fiction. You know, we doesn't really know talking. Listen.
Down pressure, and the water cannot go to communities on the upper levels.
And that is why, as Prime Minister, I was very happy after the election results came out. And I got somebody who had no connection, no understanding, no nothing to do with WASA, to be Minister of WASA.
You see, let me tell you something. When you have an idiot as a Prime Minister, you have to expect everything that come down, straight down to Marvin Gonzal. It's a bunch of idiots we have running this country. That is what the people not recognizing. And I just want to say this before you go. Why we as citizens have to block road and burn tires to get the necessary basic commodity to come to our homes. We pay taxes, we do all that we have to do, and the government continues to benefit. They drive in big Prados, they eat in the best hotel. Some of them big tiger shrimps and cork shrimps that we get from CEDROS here. Them does eat that, and they're drinking even the scotch ray coming from Venezuela. All that they're drinking up there. And to the end of the day, they're traveling free. When they had to go to the doctor, They fly on a plane, they go now for now, they in California, Miami, all over the place. And when you look at CEDROS, you just can't have a 24-hour health center in CEDROS. You just can't have water coming to the homes of the people in CEDROS. You just can't have good roads. So if an ambulance had to come to CEDROS, they could move in a quick time to take the patients from here to the Point Fortin Hospital. This is what the people support, and this is what we must change. And again, I want to call on the youth. You have a responsibility, my brother. You have a responsibility. You must be an advocate for the young people and let the young people know that there is hope. There is hope. We could do it together, you know. I wish I have a whole bunch of youths who really want to develop this country. And I will do and show how easy it is to get that development done. But we cannot get it done when we are not united. That is all we need. Thank you, my brother.
Marvin, I want to tell you something. Get up in the morning and take an ice pick and choke one of the holes that go into your radiator and see what will happen to your vehicle.
Yeah, good pressure. Right, so the time has come for the man himself. Let's welcome your counselor, your fighter for CEDROS. Thank you, my brother.
So again, Victor, the conversation has started, and this is the first that is happening in the CEDROS district, and I know for a fact that we'll continue in rural communities throughout Trinidad and Tobago, getting the voice of the people, the voice of the youth, to at least when we get into government, to represent them at the highest level. Today, you hear the cries that we echo from the CEDROS district on a continuous basis. And we are hearing about our MP on social media because he can't come and meet the people, right? He can't come to talk to us. His office is right 2 doors down. And since he have been in office, and previous MPs never stepped 1 foot at this office to have a discussion. I have wrote many times to have that discussion, putting aside party lines, to have a discussion with the various MPs, then Brigadier Dillon, and also Mr. Richards. Before that was Miss, what's her name again, Miss Paula Gopi-Skoon. And those discussions for the development of CEDROS via Point Fortin never happened. A matter of fact, it always put off, and they would never at least come one day and say, well, just walk down 1 step or 1 door down and let's have that discussion. We had the problem, and I would go back to the problems of the migrant situation before it became a problem, and it was imposed to the communities, CEDROS communities, one that we deal with on a daily basis in terms of putting the necessary infrastructure to prevent the conditions that these migrants live under in the CEDROS district to the extent Trinidad and Tobago. And what they did was give them an amnesty and continue to extend the amnesty. Today we see that they want to at least continue with the Dragon gas fields, but no mention in terms of lifting the restrictions for safe travels for these migrants through the CEDROS port and the CEDROS. And I touch on national security because I think this is a key area where we would want to understand the conditions of our security forces that they work under at the CEDROS port. Since 2015, the jetty, the office space that they occupy, the vehicles that is required for the TTPS still has not been up to the necessary level to respond to emergencies or to help citizens, law-abiding citizens in this country. The manpower continued to be affected under both Minister Hines and also before that Minister Stuart Young. They visited the station, and up to today, not 1 cent was sent to spend on the safe and good for occupation, health and safety reasons at the CEDROS security complex. Look at the jetty for the docking of these vessels, and it shows that they are really not serious in terms of having safe travel and to open back the port to increase both, because they concentrate on energy on the first hand, right? Concentrate on energy to take the resources from another country, which will never bear fruit, because based on fast as the information unfold, is billions of dollars in infrastructural issues that need to be put in place. And who will be benefiting? Would Trinidad and Tobago be benefiting? And up to now, the Prime Minister has not told the nation what we will benefit or when the first US dollar would be in our coffers. Nobody knows, right? So I welcome, as I said, I welcome any sort of investment in the energy sector. But home, Victor, when you have your home, would you paint it first before you paint your neighbor one? If you would look to see, fix your infrastructure and so on, and if you have a little and you could help, you will help.
Of course.
Today, I asked the question in the energy sector, and the Minister of Energy should answer this question. What is happening in the Salado North Field with those major gas finds that was done and the Jubilee oil find in East Salado? What is happening to those finds? What is happening to the find in the Southwest Salado Field under Trinmar's operation, now under Heritage? Why we are not putting the infrastructure for the gas development and crude oil development? The infrastructure right now is deteriorating so bad that casings in various oil wells are now seeping into the ocean, creating environmental problems, right? Disasters for the same fishermen who has to work in the sea to provide to get the fish to at least put the same large cork streams you talk about that they benefit on a daily basis. Look at the since 2018 when Petrotrin was closed down. What was the injection from Heritage for infrastructure development and repairs in these fields? Today, every single day, the CANSOB operator who supply CANSOB, I guess he probably have a party card, they supply Heritage with CANSOB to go and deal with oil spill on the in the oil fields, in the Salado fields. So, and we have a lot of natural resources in those development fields. The last survey was done and so on, seismic survey, and the gas in the North Field is required for, we have also wells that was drilled for at least to provide for TGU, so we have lower gas price. When you look at Atlantic LNG, and I tie it back to my two comrades in the Point Fortin area, right, and also Heritage, right, in terms of providing gas at a low cost to TGU, the gas is being fled and waste, right? The gas is being fled and waste. Some of the gas could be just by smaller gas compressors, compressed and be supplied in the grid to bring down the gas price and the supply for TGU, which is the largest producer of electricity in the Southwest area. So when they talk about increasing gas price, and the same agency that is going around holding their press conference and public consultation, nobody's asking them that. Why the gas price, natural gas, is so high for producing electricity, right, for TNTEC and TGU to bring down the electricity bill for our residential use. Why? What was the issue? Right? While Guyana and other countries, we must look and see what they are doing. But we are not producing the gas, and we are flaying it. Most of the gas have been fled in the various fields in Heritage. Before the shutdown of Petrotrin, we invested in the North Field of a large infrastructure in terms of putting on a gas compressor CP4 with modern compressor units and so on. What is happening to that? What is happening to the gas compressor on platform 18 that was refurbished to send gas to shore? These are questions the Minister of Energy has to say, and why Heritage is not increasing the gas production to the local grid. Why the infrastructure has continued to deteriorate. From the Southwest Field, the line has not been repaired. That is now to bring oil to shore. So, and nobody's asking those questions. The Southwest Peninsula is large for natural resources within Point Fortin. And oil production seems to be, I'm hearing now they are going on a drilling program. But you're going on a drilling program, and I'm telling that is large. You're going on a drilling program, but what is the infrastructure to bring it to shore? Right? It's just like the Minister of Agriculture giving out how much thousands coconut plant, but we don't have a bottling plant. We don't have the end product to benefit So you're planting, you still have larceny going on, right? You say increasing the score and so on. Still, we have farmers down here suffering with larceny. But why? You have no plan, but you're giving out seeds. You're planting the seeds, but you have no infrastructure.
Well, Councillor, you know when Kazim Hussein, the minister, speaks of increasing the larceny squad, you know it's one vehicle.
Well, yeah, they will respond when it's
one vehicle.
And it ties back to the plan that you're looking at in terms of the agricultural sector. There is no plan for agriculture today. Tomato price is how much? $25, $30 a pound, right? And tomorrow, okay, everybody producing tomatoes is going down to $1. The farmer can make a profit. The structure of having that, and I always call on the Minister of Agriculture and the Ministry of Agriculture to do the census and to tell the nation, okay, or the farmers, we need X thousand pounds per month, right? And if you know that you have tomato farmers and they need they're producing that amount, right? Don't go surplus. Plant another crop, cucumbers, melons, and so on. So you know for a fact that your farmers in CEDROS is now required to produce, let's say, cassava, 20,000 pounds per month. And you support that method instead of you going and import. And those are the structure. If you ask Kazim Hussein today, right, at this point in time, how much root vegetables is required per month or per week to make sure that the farmers have a profit of 125 to or whatever the profit margin is, there is no management process. Because you see, okra will come out and go down for probably 5 cents for one. There's no plan, there's no infrastructure, and they sit in government and they continue to just show that this is we are sitting here and we are serious about food production. Right?
Now the UNC speaks about diversification in the field of the sector of agriculture. I think that actually sometime we need to get MP Ravi Ratiram, who is shadowing agriculture, on the program to tell Trinidad and Tobago what is some of the plans going forward under a UNC government, because as the youth rightfully said, we don't just want to hear the PNM. All of us know the PNM incompetent, all of us know the PNM whatever. We want to hear going forward some of the plans. Yes, I know that there is plans on the website, but we don't write on the website alone. We write on the social media. We write on and as I said, we will be carrying the program from these office and center. We will be eventually applying for permission from the relevant authorities and have these programs open air where we could invite as much people as possible, because people want to hear the hope that the UNC will bring to the table to get us out of the situation that we are in today.
And definitely, Victor, because those are some of the discussions that we are having at this point in time. I want to turn again into infrastructure, that you're coming on the road and you're seeing road paving, and the MP for Point Fortin saying that, okay, you know, the PNM work in 7 years it take before the PM started work, and that is the first one, right? But it must be noted, right? Just in, when? That was in, I think in July, a certain contractor connected to Rohanson and all of them getting the contracts and so on, paved a piece of road in Chatham. And right now, it's right in front the health center, the youth center, right? And lo and behold, I go up the road, I see them mill out that same thing again. They mill it out to pave it back, while the Carcass Road continue to sink, right? While the Carcass Road continue to sink. Sooner or later we might end up just like Manzanilla. And as I say Manzanilla, you know the mill material that they mill from the road in Chatham and other areas in CEDROS, when we asked for a little bit of it, a little 10 load to fix orphan roads and so on through the corporation, the answer was from the director of PURE, the minister, right, said that material has to go to Manzanilla to fix. Okay, I said no problem, we go in and I'll make a little check. You know the material never reached Manzanilla. Right now, police investigating where the material gone. You understand? And I just want to point the police in a particular direction. Just look to see where the Minister of Properties is answering me. You may find some of that material there. Right? Just go and look and see.
Well, I will want to come down and have a look.
Because the missing mill material,
take a camera to check
right?
that?
Yes, we'll come with camera
and
and check
runs in
that.
almost 200 loads of material, mill material, missing. And the Ministry of Works, nobody is saying nothing. The Director of Pure is saying nothing, right? But I've seen some all around Point 14 and so on, right? And the Director asked me to give evidence. I gave him evidence when they was milling the road in the carcass, and they drop it right outside my office there, right, for storage. Right outside the office there, and some of the other areas. And when I send the pictures that the Point 14 borrow equipment with a truck, a borrowed truck, taking the material and carrying it Warden Road to fix. So the MP for Point 14 give the directive to the borough to send the equipment without the CO approval, right? But no investigation of that. And dropping it in Warden Road, while people in the carcass and Fullerton are denied a little 10 load we're asking for to at least fix, because the Minister of Finance is not releasing money on the material and supply to the Sipari Regional Corporation that we could fix these orphan roads and so on. So if you want information, I send up to now, since 2022 July, I send pictures to the director. No police investigation, because you know why? If it was the Council for CEDROS, all now we'd have been handcuffed, taking Ministry of Works material to fix road in CEDROS.
So let me help you right a minute. No police investigation, I'll tell you why. The Police Service Commission, appointed by the recommendation of the Prime Minister. The Commissioner of Police, going to be appointed by the Prime Minister. When you have PNM Police holding high position in an institution which ought to be independent, all this form of nepotism, corruption, thief-free will take place, and no one will be held accountable, because the Prime Minister of this country have infiltrated all the independent institutions, and therefore there is no justice for the citizens of the country. Continue, my brother.
So again, under the energy sector, we have a field that is ready for oil production, and what is holding back that is to bring equipment down, which is a landslide that not one, not two, not three, 4, 5 contractors has passed through. That's the Chatham landslide on the 96 km. Today, we're seeing some work. After a lot of protests, people actually put bamboo, drop car, breakdown, rubbish truck, stick, and we're seeing some sort of after almost 7 years. We protest there one Christmas morning, caused by, again, WASA failing to at least stop a leaking main, cause a major disaster, cutting off, almost cutting off the southwest area due to one WASA leak, and they take almost 5 contractors to start to stable that landslide. So when they talk about, yes, we are doing this, and you hear the Minister of Local Government talk about, yes, you're paying the price by the pump. So now the pump money that you put in that gas went up 5 times. We must always remember that. And we ain't right yet. That's the money now they're taking to fix road. I want the Minister of Local Government to explain that answer, what he meant by that, that your pump dollars is now repairing roads, local roads in local communities. But I ain't see reach down CEDROS yet, right? We still had to get, we only seen San Fernando, and we seen Port of Spain, right? So where is the money coming out from our oil production? The closure of Petrotrin that will fix every single thing, and I turn now to the Prime Minister's statement that once Petrotrin closed, we have money for school, we have money for public health, we have money to help the youths in the youth program, not to close down MIC and all the youth program that we had going in under the UNC, under the Honorable Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, right? We asking the Minister of Health, get the money, because they closed down Petrotrin and other agencies that they closed, other companies that they closed down, Mittal and others, right? And it should have the money to fix the health center, to make it back 24/7, that which we had under our UNC administration. Under the then minister then, we had 24/7, we had a doctor present, we also had 24/7 ambulance service with paramedics. So when the MP for Point 14 trying to say, well, he trying to get that back, tell Terrell Dial Singh, when they threatened to close down Ikakas Health Center, I tell him touch one, you touch all. And he back off from that decision, right? Today we are calling on him to repair the questionable burned down health nurses' quarters. right? That the police and also the fire services never submit a report to him what went on there. But we asked him immediately to get the money from Petrotrin that the government promised to fix the health center 24/7, put back the paramedics. So the MP for Point Fortin, after how many years, never raised that issue in Point Fortin? How much fatality we had in the center? How much more must die under this PNM for people in CEDROS and Trinidad and Tobago to get up and stand up and demand better international health care that we have? Today, I have continued to partner from the U.S. Embassy that we had the medical ship to deal with other backlog in cataract surgeries and so on that benefited CEDROS. Again, I'm have this outreach program, and I invite all to be part of it to help rural communities such as mine. That the migrants also who's there and denied, the minister is denying migrants from entering our primary healthcare system because he has to give the instruction, so the SW and the necessary resources to help these migrants. The babies of these migrants still need to get birth certificate and get the birth register and so on. And these are the conditions they live in. Victor, I carried on Ikakas, down in Bilwa Trace, and see the conditions that they are living under. And I'm talking on behalf of, because they are human beings just as ourselves, but also our people is suffering. Our people, I hear about the 10 days program. You know what we have to do to apply for a 10 days program? We have to wait until we get funding for 1 fortnight, sometime a month, 1 fortnight. And I have to share it almost for 300 people listed there. And those people are fully qualified with degrees when you check the resume and so on. This is what we are facing today. So the window dressing that these ministers and them are singing the tune of the Prime Minister while they draw millions of dollars in rentals and other to make themselves continue to be I would say a burden on the treasury. This is where we are today in this country with our natural resources in terms of to fix our roads, bitumen that Mr. Bradshaw spoke about. We have lake asphalt, and I touch on the lake asphalt issue. We at the Sipara Regional Corporation continue to apply for pitch now to fix pothole, and still that is a problem. We can't get it. We have to wait while other agencies continue to get under the other corporations and so on. Why this has to be this way? This is our natural resource. It has to benefit all, right? So you close down Petrotrin, you have no bitumen, or the bitumen is of a certain standard. The price of paving a meter of road, a meter cube of road, gone from $800 to close to around $2,000, I believe, to pave one road, to pave a meter of road, a meter square road. That's really and that raises the question that since 2015, to travel from Ikakas to Point Fortin was $15. $15. Today is almost $35, $40 in some cases. And on weekends, you're in trouble because you have no taxi working. And if you get sick, you have to reach San Fernando. So these are some of the issues we face, and I hear the calls from the youth. We have the conversation. We continue to have the conversation. Don't be distracted by this PNM government, by an MP on social media, as he continued to hammer right and not doing anything for the people. We has continued to struggle and continue to at least advocate at all level, right, in terms of continuing to have at least employment and continue to have a better living conditions for our community. I'm calling on the Minister of Agriculture, Mr. Kazim Hussein, come and take a look of this fishing complex. And I must touch on that before I go. And he was recently down in Ikakas. I hear Mr. Kazim Hussein as Minister of Agriculture talking about refurbishing the Ikakas fishing depot that was built under the UNC and opened. That is when I think the Honorable Mr. Pandey was fired in Ikakas by whatever was the situation. And you know, it's interesting that he said that it was refurbished. You know what is refurbishment of this minister? I know he might call me just now, and tell me why I'm bashing him. But he getting wrong information. Let him come down to Ikakas and see the refurbishment work. You know what the refurbishment is, Victor? Break down, move out, and demolish and pull a wire fence. And that is refurbishment in the CEDROS district in in the CEDROS district, in the Caracas area, for the fishermen. Disrespectful. And when you look at the other two, which is Fullerton and also Bonas, I have been lobbying from the fishery department to at least have some basic repair work done for the fishermen to have a little better conditions where they operate, right? And the answer from the fisheries officers and I was saying quite clear. There is no allocation for the repairs of these depots. They are not being allocated, but you continue to go down Carnage, which is the Prime Minister, and having best facilities, but you can't give back in terms of where the real industry is in the CEDROS district in terms of repairs to those fishing boat repairs. All of these things have to come through that will help the youths be part of the process, passing down their skills and having the training sessions for small engine repairs and so on within the community that will create employment. Ministry of Agriculture, the sub-office has continued to deteriorate. We have continued to call on terms of the upgrade of that facility right in Bonas and have the necessary training programs and continue to advocate for at least training for the youths to know what crop and give them the necessary resources. The Ministry of Agriculture outreach centers should have the authority that when you train a young person or someone who is interested in agriculture, to give them a 5 acres parcel of land under their tenureship. So they'll be supervised under them. We are telling them to give you land, like what Foster Common do inside Chatham and other parts of the country. We are saying the land tenure should be vested under the local Ministry of Agriculture outreach centers and saying, okay, state land, give us that, and under the watchful eyes, we are now looking to give you the necessary incentive to produce food for the nation. 5 acre plot for a young person who is interested in agriculture, you're not getting that, and you're getting the land, but under conditions, not with a party card, but who are seriously involved in producing food for this nation, and other conditions that we could discuss at a further level. And that is what the area we're looking to do, to develop, partner with the private sector, with large who have large landowners, in terms of encouraging them to bring these abandoned land back into production because of the economic situation, cutting down our food bill and at least producing food for Trinidad and Tobago. So there's a number of things and opportunities that we continue to work with, but at least we need the support. And to get the support, we have to demand it, ladies and gentlemen. And if we sit by and allow this PNM government to continue to erode our community and continue to at least have us live under substandard conditions, this is not what I am in this politics about. I joined the UNC because we have a vision under the distinguished leadership of the Honorable Kamala Prasad-Visesa. I work with the party structure as we would have continue to see what the manifesto actually sell to our population. It is a working document that we will listen and we'll continue to advocate for betterment, and as we continue to work to get back into government and to have a prime minister who really cares about the citizens of this country, I continue to work with you, again, working with you to continue the good work that the UNC government has placed, that foundation that we will continue to build it. So I want to thank you, Mr. Roberts, as we continue to work together to advocate for a better community, a better Trinidad and Tobago. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor. So here we will have to leave it, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, I know for a fact that we went over our time, but we had to at this point in time. I think actually going forward, we may very well have to either start a little earlier to accommodate if we start at 6 instead of 6:30 and finish at 8, so we will have enough time and people could get back to their homes at a reasonable time, because we know, of course, with the crime situation now and where the government has no clue to solve that problem, we want to ensure that our supporters and our visitors that they reach back to their homes safely. So I want to thank you, Honorable Councillor, for hosting us down in the CEDROS area. I want to thank all of you who came out here this afternoon, and I want to thank those of you especially who have contributed in one way or the other to make this the success that it is here tonight. I want to thank the youth again, and I want the youth to know that I will be talking to him as we go along. I will share my number with him, as I always do with you people. 3164468. That's my cell number. That's the only cell I have, and you know you're welcome to call me anytime. I will try to come back down in the CEDROS area sometime next week. I want to check to see if I can help find where the material gone, and also I want to also see whatever land situation is taking place here in relation to the $4 million man. And of course, we are asking the Anti-Corruption Bureau, what is the position with that $4.4 million that is sitting in a venture credit union in relation to Foster Commons? I am asking that question. I'm also asking what is the position with the land situation in Couva, where we hear about Pikal and Kalpik, or whatever the name may very well be. We want to know what's going on with those investigations. We want to know what is going on with the investigation with Camille Robinson Regis, with the $143,800. We want to know what is going on with the investigation with Keith Rowley and the house in Tobago, the apartment unit, that he get how much 100,000 off. We want to know. We want to know. Don't keep us in the dark. We want to know what is the status of these investigations. We are calling on the DPP and the soon to be appointed Commissioner of Police to tell the country what is the position with Vincent Nelson and Faris Alwari and Kewal Singh with the car that didn't transfer, that transferred, that didn't what. We want to know what happened with all this deal that went down with Vincent Nelson. For somehow I see Gerard Ramdeen mouth open now. That's good. But Gerard, don't put your foot in your mouth. Don't do that. Wait until we hear what's going on with jargon before you start to talk, because Archie have a jargon there that bite people, Ramdeen. Be careful, Archie jargon, it bite you too. You see, let me get serious in this country, Trinidad and Tobago. Let us get serious and let us ensure that good governance take place. Whether UNC in power or PNM in power, good governance is what this country need, and you, the citizen of the country, has the authority to ensure that good governance take place where you, your children, your grandchildren, your unborn great-grand would be able to benefit. So I want to thank each and every one. I want to thank especially Archie. I know that he left his business very early today to reach down in this part of the southwestern area, and we want to say hats off for Archie, who always, all the time, every time, go out of his way to ensure that these programs is very much successful. So Archie, thank you for your time, and thank you for your ability to make it what it is here today. So I'm saying good night to you listeners. Remember to tune in tomorrow, I believe, Douglas Politics at 7.
No. Tomorrow we wouldn't be having Douglas Politics. As you know, it's the party's major fundraiser for the year.
Right, good.
Yeah, I Love Choker. What I could tell you is next week, Friday, we'll be rolling into a very rural community called Los Atau.
That had to be Awong.
Awong, yes.
Had to be,
Chairman Awong. Yeah.
So Chairman Awong, let me tell you one time when we come up there, brother, make sure you have some kind of wild meat and some kind of roti or some kind of thing we eat in there, right? I tell you from now, put it in place. We know it have a vehicle here that has some, what we get the last time our chair was in point?
Don't worry, CEDROS.
Benny?
I see like you trying to put me in trouble when I reach back home, but if you get Benny, I didn't get it, brother. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you.
But I want to remind you, we have a very powerful press conference on Sunday at 10:30, right? Where Saddam Hussein, MP Saddam Hussein, and Attorney Sean Sobers would be addressing this Attorney General scandal. So on Sunday we have that press conference.
All right. So we want to say thank you, each one.
So-
Thank you. Any closing words,
Yeah, so
Councillor?
before you close, again, thank you and your team, Archie, Victor, and I also want to suggest that the next time we're doing something like this, we reach out to the various villages in the community. So what we are saying here, you would see for yourself.
Right.
That is actually facts,
Not fiction.
Thank
I
you
will
very
be coming back down to CEDROS soon because, as I say, I want to see if I can help you find the material, and we want to see
It's
what's
somewhere
going on.
between CEDROS and Manzanilla.
Yeah,
So you gotta look
and
to see what's
something what we want to see what's going on in Chatham with this land situation also, and of course, at some point in time, I may be talking to one of the fisher folk for us to go out at sea and
to see what's happening and the infrastructure outside.
with those infrastructure and whatever oil pollution that the EMA may not be aware of, we want to bring them aware. So we will talk, we will communicate that, and we will put it in place. God bless. We out of here.
I have a political cemetery. It's not for people like you and me. It is for all them politicians. And I dig in their grave, no fuck with me hand. I find some of them, they living too long. And every 5 years is the same old song. Some of them dead, just shipped. I have a political cemetery. It's not for people like you and me. It is for all them politicians. And I dig in their grave, no fuck with me hand. I find some of them, they living too long. And every 5 years is the same old song. Some of them dead, just shame to lie down. So I prepare for them a burial ground. Rowley, my first grave for he. With joy in my heart, put him down with glee. All of them useless politicians, only making up numbers in my island. Al-Rari, I refuse body. I leave them Muslim, them to deal with he. Big smile on my face and with me bare hand. It's time to move trash from out of this land. Him but I taking my time with he. I personally will prepare his body. Make sure he have a sardonic grin on his face. That's all he does do. That man is a waste. Bury he in the back of my cemetery. Turn he upside down. He face I can see. Look for the strongest grave digger to cover he. Not with the hand, put fork on he. Gypsy, political grasshopper. I may feel little pity cause he's my brother. But like Tarzan, he's swinging from vine to vine. It's time I help you to make up your mind. Fitzgerald, Rasta City. I know they go glad to get the body. Resi on beat, I'm down for all to see.